Hello folks, here's Paradise. This is Our Talk, and in this video we are going to cover everything about simple present. But before diving in, I would appreciate if you like this video, subscribe so that you don't miss any future videos, and leave comments, any question, anything related to this grammar or anything else. I would appreciate if you leave the comments, leave it in the comments, and I will answer definitely. And if you need subtitles, in case, you can simply click on this little button down here so that you understand every word, you read it on the screen. And let's go! Simple present. In the previous video, I covered simple past, everything about simple past. So if you haven't watched it yet, I would highly recommend you if you go. If you have any questions about it, it would be a very good help for you to watch it again. But in here, it's not related to the simple past, so it doesn't mean that they are chained together, no. Again, in the same structure, before going for actually describing the conditions that we use simple present in, I want to go for something more fundamental, which are the verbs in a way that we use them actually in simple present and the auxiliary verb. So, the verbs in present, how do we use them? It's very simple. The verbs are two types. It's regular. It's not like the simple past that we have to memorize some words. They didn't obey the rules. No, these are normal. These are normal. So, the regular types, regular as any verb. For example, play, cook, study, watch, anything. So, it would be in two categories. In two categories as pronoun. Pronoun is the thing that is that sits instead of the name. So I, you, we, they. The verb is simple. Okay, like for example, I play, you play, we play, they play. This is for simple present. The verb is simple. Or for example, I cook, you cook, they cook, we cook. Or study. I study, you study, they study, we study. Okay, good. For she, he, and it, we have a little tiny thing that we add at the end. And what is that? S or ES. So it would be verb plus S or ES. So I say, I play, but I say she plays. I say he plays. It plays. For example, it can refer to animal or any other thing other than human beings. Okay. Same with cooks. She cooks. He cooks. Studies. Remember in the previous video I mentioned that whenever we have I, it changes into I. For example, for ed in the previous video. In this case, again, it changes into I and we add es to show that this is happening. This verb is happening in simple present. There is another type of verb that we use in simple present, and at the same time, it can be an auxiliary verb too. Am, is, are. Okay, am, is, are, it means the state of thing. For example, when I say I am excited, it's talking about a feeling. It's talking about a state. I am the state of excitement right now. So I use these verbs. And for I, we use am. For you, we, they, we use are. And for she, he, and it, we use is. Okay, so these auxiliary verb can be a verb like I am happy as, the verb as the main verb. Or it can be an auxiliary verb that I will cover in the present continuous. But for now, know that in simple present, they are a verb, a main verb, like in here, in this case. Okay? So, the auxiliary verb. The auxiliary verb for simple present, do, does. Do would be for these, I, you, we, they. Does would be for she, he, it. You see, simply, we have do and do plus es. When you see this es, it reminds you of this, huh? So it means that this is for that. Simply. So for example, in the previous video, I mentioned, when do we have auxiliary verb? What is an auxiliary verb? I know the name sounds kind of tricky and confusing, but From now on, whenever you heard the word auxiliary verb, it means that it is going to be a verb that is going to help the main verb. So in this way, when I say she doesn't go to blah blah, this does in here is not doing an action. Go is the main verb. Go is the actual action that is happening. But does is an auxiliary verb. It's helping us to make a negative sentence and to make a question. So every time, every verb, whenever you hear the auxiliary verb, it means that there is going to be a verb that is going to help you to make a question or make a negative sentence. Okay, so in this case, for simple present, the auxiliary verbs would be do and does. Do for I, you, we, they, and does for she, he, and it. Do you go to the restaurant? So, doing here is an auxiliary verb. It's not a main verb. It's not doing something. It's not doing an action. The verb is go. The main verb is go. So, we say, do you go? And whenever we have auxiliary verb, the verb is simple. So if I wanted to say, instead of you, if I wanted to say she, I wouldn't be saying, do she goes? No, that doesn't work this way. We have does. We have does for these type of verbs. There's no need to add s or es to the verb itself. We have the auxiliary verb in there. Okay, so if I wanted to use she in here, I would say, does she go to the restaurant? Does he go to the restaurant? Okay, so the verb again. With auxiliary verb, the verb is always simple. It doesn't matter. It's she, he, past, present, future. The verb is simple. Okay, do you go to the restaurant? And for negative, she doesn't go to the restaurant. Again, we see, we use she. In here, we said that when we have she, in simple present, we have s or es at the end of the verb. But in here, we see that no, there's no s or es at the end of go. Why? Because we have does. We have does, and it's the auxiliary verb for she, he, and it. So we are going to use does. She doesn't go to the restaurant. Okay? For making the negative one. And go is the main verb. Again, does is the auxiliary verb. Under this concept of auxiliary verb, just like did, it can be a verb, a main verb, an action. And what that would be, to performing, to doing something. So when I say, I do my homework, it means that I perform my homework simply. In here, do is the main verb. Okay, so if, in case that it's not an auxiliary verb, it would be the main verb in which the meaning would be to perform. And the same with does. So when I'm going to say, for example, for she, this sentence would be she does her homework. Okay, the same. Do, does, out of auxiliary verb concept would be the main verb as doing something, as the performing something. Okay, now that we know the way that we use the verbs in simple past and the auxiliary verb of simple past, it's time to dive into the usage and the conditions that we actually use simple present. So these are in 4 main categories. Keep that in mind. Maybe you go for a Google search, maybe you search hundreds of websites, or you ask AI, or they will give you 100 other categories in which you use simple present. Yes, they can be right. But if you dive in, you will see that many of those would be inside one of these categories. So there's no need to know all of them. If you know these main 4 categories, you can handle the rest. So number 1 would be habits and routines. So for example, whatever you do every day, whatever you do as a routine, whatever that happens on a frequency, and you do it and you know it that, for example, every Saturday, every Sunday, every blah blah, it will happen. So it's a routine. So it's a habit. In this case, we use simple present. She drinks coffee every day. It's talking about me. She drinks coffee every day. So you see, drinks. Why do we have s? Because the verb we said, for she, he, it, we add s or es. She drinks coffee every day. So it's a routine, it's a habit. You do it every day. It's your normal basis. Number 2, facts or general truths. For example, we have accepted that the sky is blue. Generally speaking, scientifically speaking, the sky is blue. So this is a simple present. You see, is in here. You see, we are using simple present. Why? Because it's a fact. It's a general truth. It's a scientific thing that we have accepted that is to be true. That to be true. Number 3 would be feelings, thoughts, states. Remember, in the middle of these, I gave you this example. I am excited. This is a state. This is a feeling of me right now. So I use simple present form. I am happy. I feel good. You see, I'm not using am, is are. I feel good. I feel perfect. I feel excited. I feel energetic. You know, I'm using the verb feel in a simple form. Why? Because I'm using simple present for feeling, thoughts, states. Or for example, I think that it's a good idea. I think. Think is a simple form of the verb. Number 4, for orders and instructions. So orders, follow the rule. You see, follow. I'm ordering someone to do something. So this is the simple form of the verb. Or instructions. For example, when you are giving a recipe to someone to bake a cake, and you say, first, add this. Second, mix that. Third, do blah blah. You see, you are using the simple form of the verb. So again, for this case, we use simple present again. So let's see some examples in different types, in the normal sentence statement and negative statement and positive, questions. So for the positive, she drinks coffee every day. It's referring to habits, routines. I am excited. It's talking about number 3, a feeling, thought, or state. So you see, in both cases, the main verb in here is drinks, and in here is am. So in both cases, we see that the verb is simple. So for example, if I wanted to use I instead of she, what would that be? You tell me. I drink coffee every day without the S, but still, the verb is simple, we see. So I am excited. If I wanted to use you, that would be you are excited. What about she? She is excited. Okay, so try to play with these verbs. Try to play with these words, verbs, and structures, and leave in the comments, okay? So that you know how to use it in different categories. Try to make sentences, make examples for yourself in order to try to settle down in those examples and understand that actually when do we use in each of these categories, when do we use and how do we use them. Try to do the practice in this way. For the negative, she doesn't drink coffee. In here, the auxiliary verb plus not is actually helping us to make our sentence negative. Didn't drink. And again, the verb is simple. Remember, whenever we have auxiliary verb, either for making a question or making a negative statement, the verb would always be simple. She doesn't drink coffee every day. How about I? If I wanted to use I, how would that be? I don't drink coffee every day. Remember, for I, you, we, they, the auxiliary verb was do. So I don't drink coffee every day. I'm not excited. In this case, for making this negative would be I am not, or simply I'm not. Okay. So for example, for you are not excited. For she or he is not or he isn't excited. For making question, let's make a question with these. For example, for the first one, she drinks coffee every day. Does she drink coffee every day? Does she drink coffee? We are using the auxiliary verb does for she, and the verb is simple to make question, the auxiliary verb. Does she drink coffee? How about I? Do I drink coffee every day? Or for example, they. Do they drink coffee every day? Huh? Make sentences. Or question, are you excited? Are you? Are you excited? Or is she excited? Or am I excited? Are they excited? Try to use different pronouns and try to make sentences with them in order to understand the differences and practice. What are the times that you make errors? What is the thing that you cannot understand? And try to struggle as much as you can with these sentences, with these structures in these 4 categories in order to understand it better. Use these auxiliary verbs and these verbs in present form and try to combine them with the previous video, simple past, in order to have a better understanding of these 2 grammars. So I hope that now that you watch this video, you have a more comprehensive and better understanding of simple present and the conditions that we use it and the auxiliary verbs of it and the verbs and the way that we use them inside simple present. In the next video, we are going to cover simple future. That is a simple thing, that's not a big deal, but still we are going to cover everything about simple future. And for this video, if you like this video, if you found this video helpful, I would appreciate if you give a thumbs up and subscribe and leave a comment below. As I said, there are hundreds of examples you can make. There are hundreds of sentences that you can create using these verbs, these words, and many other things in order to practice this grammar and the previous grammar. So do that. It will definitely help you, trust me. So see you in the next video with the simple future.